And now, please welcome to the virtual stage the CYP Club's 2020 Woman of Inspiration honoree, Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty is a native Ohioan with a strong history of connecting people, policy, and politics to make a difference. Since 2013, Beatty has proudly represented Ohio's 3rd Congressional District. She sits on the exclusive House Committee on Financial Services and serves on 3 subcommittees: Chair of Diversity and Inclusion, Housing, Community Development, and Insurance, and Oversight and Investigations. As chair of the newly created Financial Services Subcommittee on Diversity and Inclusion, Beatty will lead efforts to ensure that financial service industry works better for all Americans. Prior to her service in the U.S. House of Representatives, Congresswoman Beatty was Senior Vice President of Outreach and Engagement at The Ohio State University and a member in the Ohio House of Representatives for 5 terms. During her tenure in the Ohio House, she rose to become the first female Democratic House leader in Ohio's history and was instrumental in spearheading and enacting pieces of legislation to require financial literacy in Ohio's public school curriculum, to expand STEM education, and to secure funds to help under and uninsured women access breast and cervical cancer treatment. A sought-after public speaker and recipient of numerous awards, she was previously named one of Ebony's magazine's 150 most powerful African Americans in the United States. Congresswoman Beatty is active in the Lynx Inc., Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Columbus Urban League, and the American Heart Association. Congresswoman Beatty is vice chair of the powerful Congressional Black Caucus, regional whip for Region 10, and is an influential member of the Democratic Seniors Task Force, co-chair of the Financial and Economic Literacy Caucus and Congressional Heart and Stroke Coalition, deputy vice chair of the Congressional Voting Rights Caucus, and founder of the Congressional Civility and Respect Caucus. Congresswoman Beatty has dedicated her life to helping make an impact by delivering results and through service to Central Ohio and beyond. Please join me in giving a warm virtual welcome to Congresswoman Joyce Beatty.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. And thank you, Daryl. I could not have asked for a better introduction for such a wonderful, amazing morning, and to be asked to bring some remarks this morning and hopefully be someone who can get you energized and warmed up and excited, because wow, when I opened up my laptop this morning, I've already had 2 meetings, so sorry for some of the light adjustments I'm making, but I was so excited that this is only the 2nd annual, Daryl, and so many powerful women on this call, and certainly to the brave Derek for kicking us off. Let me just say thank you. I certainly could not begin without thanking all of the sponsors, all of the presenters, and saying especially a big thank you to the Columbus Young Professional Club and Branch Insurance for their tremendous, tremendous support in empowering and presenting this amazing, inspiring event. And certainly to my friend, my colleague, Trudy Bartley, let me also say, way to go, girl, for also being an honoree. Let me just say, this morning, when I think about women and I think about this conference and what would be important for me to highlight or talk about, why not wise? Why not emphasize why we are doing this, why we are gathering this morning? What difference does it make? Right now, on the heels of losing a great iconic leader in our community, the Honorable John Lewis, it made me think about so many things that he said to us, especially women, I had the opportunity many times to sit next to John Lewis on the House floor, to travel with him across the country, to Africa, to Nelson Mandela's funeral, to a year ago when we honored 400 years of enslaved slaves coming to America and yet as slaves. And what John Lewis said to me, I think is a wonderful kickoff for me this morning. John Lewis said, in the end, at death, you never want to just talk about dreams. You want to be able to talk about memories. And memories, because that means it's the memory of something you got done. Well, this morning, women, wise will be a memory. It is no longer a dream that it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but it is a memory that you will talk about how you made a difference in the lives of women especially. It will leave you a memory that you got things done. You provided an award to women, which meant they had to continue to move WISE forward. When you think of women, I think of the powerful Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt said, you know, women are like a tea bag. The hotter the water is, the stronger they get. And that's what we are. We are strong because we are certainly, during these difficult times, we are in hot water. Being in hot water, it takes a woman to be right there, locked, linked, and latched with our male counterparts. It takes more for us to move 1 foot forward. You know why? Because we still make 70 and 64 and 54% on a dollar less than our male counterparts. But yet we rise because we are wise. When I think about all the great female leaders and all the things that they have done, it makes me think of probably, in part, why you decided that WISE would be a good title for us. When we go from women and we go to inspiration, part of what I want to be remembered as this morning is providing you just a little bit of inspiration, because we are in the year 2020. And who would have ever thought or visualized that we would be dealing with 2 pandemics at the same time, that we would be dealing with the coronavirus pandemic or COVID-19, that we would be seeing so many precious and innocent lives taken because of this virus that we are yet to have a vaccine for, this virus that has crept into our lives, taking far too many people, over 150,000 deaths. And when we look right here to Franklin County, to Columbus, Ohio, to this great state of Ohio, we find too many lives, and women are in that count. And women and other individuals, our male counterparts, if you are African American like me, or if you are another minority, we are disproportionately affected. When you look at the numbers, Black people have the highest death rates from this virus. So let me inspire you by saying, as I tell people every day, simple things can sometimes make a difference. And I'm asking you to make sure that you social distance, and to thank you for not convening us in person, but for having us 6 feet apart in a Zoom. And I'm asking you to mask up, because I truly believe if I'm going to inspire you for life, if I'm going to ask of you anything, mask up against this pandemic, because I truly believe it makes a difference. And yes, I'm the granddaughter of a Baptist minister, so somebody out there ought to be saying, sounds like she was taking us to church this morning. Well, spirituality is a part of everything that we do. So when I think about how this little Black girl from just down yonder in Dayton, Ohio, was sworn in to the 116th Congress, the 116th Congress, there I was in the numbers, double digits now, of women, Black, white, brown, and yellow women, the most diverse caucus that we have had in the history, LGBTQ, women, Native Americans for the first time, women standing tall, tall in inspiration, tall in spirituality, tall in intellect, tall in wanting to forge ahead and make a difference. And yes, we became chairwoman of the powerful Financial Services Committee, the Honorable Maxine Waters. Powerful women like Congresswoman Bernice Johnson, science and technology. Powerful women leading the Congressional Black Caucus, and yes, Vice President candidate, Congresswoman Karen Bass. Women, yes, the powerful female, the only one on the impeachment committee to serve on the Judiciary Committee and not a lawyer, and to serve also on the Intelligence Committee. Yes, hailing from Florida, the Honorable Val Demings, and yes, candidate for vice president. And yes, do we have a senator in the United States Congress? Yes, Senator Kamala Harris from California, and yes, was a presidential candidate that brought thousands and thousands of women out to see her. And yes, vice president candidate. So when I tell you how inspired I am, how moved I am about some of the sisters that I see in Congress, where this Black woman has the opportunity to chair on the powerful Financial Services Committee, Diversity and Inclusion, and to have a ranking member, female, Ann Wagner, on the other side of the aisle, my partner as we chair the Diversity and Inclusion Committee. Why? Why do I share this? I share this because the sky is the limit. I share this not because it's about me, because I want you to remember this. And certainly, as was said in my introduction, I became Ohio's first female leader, Democratic leader. It's not about that. It's about if there is a second or third or fourth or fifth, then you can lay down the gauntlet and brag. And yes, I can tell you, there was not only a second, but a third, and there will certainly be a fourth and a fifth. I tell you this because when I think about I think about education, and I think about endurance. And I think about empowerment finally, because that is what WISE is doing. WISE is empowering us. So you never leave an opening keynote without giving you some facts, and that I think I've done. And to end with a little story. There are so many I can tell you, but when I think about empowerment, when I think about what would move you to your next phase, what would make you look back on this memory and say, I remembered something. I want you to remember to create your own stories. I want you to remember to tell those stories so it can lift other women up and young girls. You see, I'm celebrating an anniversary of being a stroke survivor. And I can tell you, I could have looked at that as the glass half empty or half full. I don't know why I had a cerebral brainstem stroke after leaving a luncheon with women and finding myself in an unusual state of body. Something was going wrong. I didn't know what it was, but I knew something was wrong. And I'll fast forward to tell you that I woke up in an ambulance and then in Grant Hospital. And there the doctors came in and told me that I had had a stroke. Then I spent weeks and months in the hospital and was fortunate enough to go to a stroke clinic. But never along the way did I give up. Never did I lose the inspiration. Never did I lose the spirituality to question why or how come. I used my inner spirituality. I used the inspiration from all my memories to be able to say, I too will be empowered to go on. And let me just tell you, it wasn't a negative story or a sad story. It was so exciting because I remember the day I got my wheelchair. And that gave me the empowerment that I had mobility. And it gets better. I got an electric wheelchair. And to all the women who like to shop, can you imagine how exciting it was that I could control my transportation and go in every store in the mall that I wanted to do and hook all my bags onto the handles. I felt freedom, but I knew that was not enough. So the day I entered the Ohio State House floor in that wheelchair, I felt empowered to use my voice. You see, my legs weren't working so well because I was confined to that chair, but I never gave up. And the spirituality and the inspiration said, take the microphone and talk about healthcare and talk about how women must be engaged and empowered and how they must go on. And I did. The story ends well. Months and months of therapy and being in a stroke center. I defied the odds. I decided to try to impel myself upward and stand. Now, I failed a whole lot of times, but there was a young female physical therapy that believed in me. So the story ends by saying, believe in one another. A lot of physical therapy, speech therapy, and one last fun thing. A gentleman came into my therapy room and said, I want to try a couple new treatments on you. You see, I had the stroke droop and I could only drink through a straw because I couldn't swallow. And he said, I think I can give you electric shock treatment and it will bring your face and your mouth back in alignment. He said, are you up for it? And I said, I'm a wise woman. I'm up for it. And so as he put on these big mittens that looked like what you would cook in, and he put on a vest that looked like something an empire would wear, I got a little scared. And he leaned in and he said, now are you ready? I didn't know what I was ready for. And sometimes you won't know what you're ready for. But I came prepared with a right attitude and the right spirituality and the right drive. So I said, I think so. And then I asked the most profound thing one could ask. I said, is this going to hurt? And he looked at me and he said, you know anything about baseball, Beatty? And I said, yes. And he said, well, it's going to feel like when that hard ball hits that wood bat at 125 miles an hour. And then I got a little scared. And then I said something brilliant. So it's going to hurt. And I said, let's go for it. And he marked my face and he did the shock and I felt like my eyes were gonna pop out and tears came and he had to do it 5 times and I held on and he did it 5 times. And 10 minutes later he said, it worked. Thanks for your courage. And then I thought of the second most profound thing I could say. I said, will there be any side effects? And he said, well, yes. I've been told it tends to take all the lines out of your face. So then I said to him, you think you could do the other side? So in life, you'll have things that will be painful. You'll have things that will shock you, but you will endure all for the better. And you will have memories. Thank you for giving me the memories of this award, of this morning, and of this wonderful WISE conference. And with that, I say, I'm Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, and I approve this message. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.